Okay, so this is going to be our source system, so you consider that as dev system. So what you do is to perform this configuration, we have to use application lifecycle management. So for that, we need some additional privileges. So go to users, so whichever the user you're using there, to that user, we need to grant some additional roles. Even system user doesn't have these roles, they need to be granted. So go to granted roles, click on that plus button and grant all these roles. So HTTP test administrator, runtime conf administrator, LM roles administrator, and I'm going to use this system as a developer also. So that's why I'm going with developer, execute, transport, and transport. So these roles you grant. So now you can proceed with the configuration part. One more thing, to actually a real feel of this development system. So I'm creating a developer user also. Assume that there is one developer user. I'm granting modeling roles to this guy. Modeling role. And apart from this, for development activities, we need at least one table. So that table already I have, which I'm importing. Ready-made table, sample table. Otherwise, any one table you can create. The two tables I'm just importing here. So on those two tables, we need to give permissions to this developer. Only select privileges we need to give. And you know that the same also has to be done for the sysrepo user. Otherwise, no developments can be done. So this concept already explained you when we discussed about the security features. So with that, your source is ready. One more thing I'm doing here is target also I'll install on the same system. We'll just start installation and we'll proceed with the configuration part there. Okay, so to perform these configurations, right click on this dev system, go to lifecycle management, application lifecycle management. Okay, this I'll open in another browser. IE is somehow is not so comfortable to work with. So I'm opting for this one. Chrome. Log in with system user. So here, first thing, go to settings. This is all you're doing in the dev system. Click on change vendor. The other day I shown you, if you want to create delivery unit, vendor definition is mandatory. So here also you can give that vendor, or you can give it in the configuration tab, in that parameter. And once you set the vendor, then check this checkbox, enable change recording. It says this takes time. Yes, no problem. Let it take, but we need that enabling of change recording. Otherwise, the developments performed by the developers cannot be recorded. You can't handle the change management here. And one more thing you can see here is under transport, we have enable native HANA transport. That's what we are using. CTS, if they're running applications on top of HANA, then they use that CTS option. So now it's enabling change recording in the dev system. So you can see that message change recording enabled. So once that is done, select home, click on delivery units, either product instances or delivery unit. Product instances they use when they develop applications within HANA. And here it's only delivery units. Select delivery unit, click on create delivery unit. Give some name, anything you can give. Versions are not mandatory. And who is responsible for the creation of this? Create it. Save it. Then go to this menu item changes. Create a change list. It's somewhat like your request number in your SAP applications. It's a change list I'm giving here. For every change list, remember we need to assign the contributors here. So there can be a number of contributors. Contributors are nothing but developers. The developers who are responsible for or contributors for this particular change list. So default it's assigning system as a developer or a contributor. I'm leaving it as it is because this I want to show you how it works when two developers are working. And apart from that, I'm adding one more developer also. That is the user one. Assign and close it and save this. So now these developers, nothing but the contributors here, they'll perform the development activities. They create different objects like modeling objects and all that. So to do that, I'll just show you an example. Say, just let me close this and open it again, HANA Studio, because whatever the configuration changes we did in this lifecycle management, the browser that should be reflected. Sometimes they don't be reflected in the HANA Studio. So to make it sure that those changes are reflected here, those settings, you just close that studio and open it again. I'm logging in again. Now you consider the system user as a developer. Treat him as a developer now. And similarly, there is one more user you can log in with that user also. That is duser1. Initial password. Changing that initial password. Now two developers are there. The first developer says system is developing something here. So go to package, content, new package. These all developers will do. Just try to understand. Just creating pack 1 and I'm assigning that package to the delivery unit D unit 1. Okay. Under this package only those modeling objects will be developed by this developer. For example, I'm creating one simple attribute view. Something like this. Let's underscore. And to create this attribute view, I'm using a table. We have sample table under this catalog. So, example, I'm using this article lookup table. And just simply activate it. See what happens when you're activated. And it's asking you to assign it to the change list because he's one of the contributor for the change list. What are the developments done by this developer? Assign to the change list. So without assigning to the change list, there's no way you can do developments. So select that and click on finish. So that activation is done successfully. And similarly, other developers also will do it, like the duser on also will do some development activities. One permission I missed out. Let me assign that for this developer. Now this developer is also going to the same package, maybe a different package, doesn't matter. He's also creating some objects, like another attribute view. SD underscore finish. Selecting a table here. Like this, some of these columns take and activate this. And it's asking again to assign it to the change list because he's also a contributor for the same change list that's displayed there. We're selecting and finish. And that's done. So like this, they'll keep on doing the developments. At some point, so they'll conclude saying that the developments are completed. So once the developments are completed, each of these developers need to do an approval. They need to approve their contribution for the change list. So meaning of that is they are confirming that their contribution means their development is done. Like this. So here you can see it's approved, but only one contributor approves it. You can't release it. See, that release button is not yet enabled. So see what is written there. When all the contributors have approved their contributions, you could release the change list. So making sure that all the contributors are approving it. Meaning of that is all the contributors, all the developers, they completed their development and only transportation is possible. Otherwise, it's not meaningful at all. So now you select this change list and release it for the transportation. So with that, what are the activities you need to perform in the development system are completed. So now further steps we need to move on to the target, your quality or production systems. Adding that here. So here in this target system also, first you go to that system user and grant the privileges. Same things, whatever we did there in the dev system. HTTP test administrator, runtime conf administrator, LM roles administrator. If needed, developer, that's not mandatory. Execute transport and transport. Deploy. And remember, before doing this transportation, as I mentioned earlier, already yesterday, that you need to have those tables in the target system also. Maybe in the same schema or different schema. If in different schema, it told you what to do. You need to perform that schema map. Yeah, same tables I'm importing here. To the sysrepo user, making sure that you granted the privileges. Otherwise, while the importing takes place, system will throw errors. Okay, now in the target system, go to this application lifecycle management. Login. no need of doing settings. If it's a production system, settings are not needed. Directly go to transports, and here you can see that that local system is there, the PRD system. Now you need to register the source. So click on register. That 06 is okay, it's HTTP port 80, then instance number. Click on maintain destination. Go to authentication details, edit, select basic settings here, authentication type, and provide the database user, that source system database user, password, save it. Close this newly opened window and click on finish. It's 05. Okay. So now once your source system is successfully registered there, then what you do is go to transports, create a transport route. So here give transport route name, select source system, source database, and target already selected because we are doing all this configuration in the target only. So now, so what you need to select there is under content, two options you have. Delivery units option is there, and product instances we have. So you need to go with the delivery unit because we are doing developments using delivery units only. As I mentioned, if they develop some applications in HANA, then they use product instances. Anyhow, select your delivery unit. And you can select multiple delivery units also. There is no limitation as such saying that you need to select only one delivery unit. You can just use control key and select multiple delivery units also. And then when it comes to the mode, you choose that option selected change list. But observe there is one more option called all change list. I'll discuss on that when you have to use it. In this case, you go with selected change list and click on create. So now you can observe that your transport route created. So select the transport route and click on start transport. whatever the request change list you released in the source system, and that will be available here. You select whichever the change list you want to import and click on next. Only released ones are visible there, and click on transport and close. You can't select anything there. So transport has been finished. It's just finished message you're getting, and here also you can see that slight green color, and logs also you can observe. You can look at those logs. So now if you go and check your target database, you can find your content here. This is the pack one. This is these two are the attribute views. Say example in development system, some more developments or changes they want to do. Again, same thing. The development compulsory they need to create a new change list, and they need to assign those contributors, right? So whenever those contributors make some developments or changes, and you can see that these are all recorded with that change list. See now, system is the only user there as a contributor, so he's trying to modify whatever the attribute view has created, like adding maybe one more column. So when he makes some changes and activate this, system will ask him to change those changes into the change list. Click on finish. Now only those changes you can transport. So first they need to approve the contribution, then release, and then go to the target, same transport route. As far as this delivery unit is concerned, if it's the developments related to same delivery unit, changes related to same delivery unit, you don't need to do anything, just click on start transport again. If a different delivery unit, different transport route you want to create it. Select your change list, that is the C list 2. Only modified object is this. Transport and close. So transport finished. Now you can go and check in your target. You should have that modified object. And this one is with 4 columns now here. Like that. So that's now this is a simple procedure to do the transportation activities. Okay, so it's a mechanism. See, when you have 3 systems, small things, very small changes you need to do. I'll tell you what are those changes you need to perform. Very small things. Like assume that you have dev, test, and production. And dev, what you did, the settings you enabled change recording. Similarly, you do it in the test also. If you have 3 systems, then production not needed. Dev and test, you do that. And dev, you have this change list created, developers are developing, transported to test system. In the test system, when you create a transport route, source is dev, target is test. So there, you choose that mode selected change list, you select the change list and import them. and all those objects will be transported to your quality system, and while they are imported into the quality system or test system, there automatically change list will be generated because we enable the change recording. So when you want to move these objects to the production, in the production what you have to do, go to the production, there you create a transport route, register the test system there, and then when you create a transport route, source is test and target is production, and the mode you need to select there is all change list. Instead of selected change list, you can go with all change list. That's the option you need to choose there, and that's why that facility is given to you. So if you compare with your export import mechanisms which I shown you in the last session, this is a efficient mechanism, effective mechanism. That's why we rely on this only. Now in our new versions from SPS 7 onwards, we are relying on this one. The native HANA transportation mechanism. Don't use export import. Export import use only very few cases, right? Exceptional situations if individual objects need to be transported, then you think about going with that export import, and that too in the developer mode. You use the developer mode. Okay, so that's the concept there.